Ready? It's 6 o'clock. We're gonna get started. I say it's 6 o'clock. We're going to get started. Okay, welcome everybody to the Wednesday, June 4th Library Commission meeting of Sonoma County Library. Thanks everybody for coming in on such a beautiful evening. I am going to call the meeting to order and call the roll of commissioners in attendance. And usually I have a list. So now I'm gonna have to remember your names. There we go. Commissioner Goldberg. Here. Commissioner Cahill. Here. Commissioner McKenzie. Here. Commissioner Lagos. Here. Commissioner Heaven Ridge.
Here.
There we go. There we go. See, Commissioner Goldberg, Commissioner Green, Commissioner Taylor, Commissioner Sloan. Here. And I'm. There we go, Commissioner Ingbarth and Commissioner Elton.
Here.
All right, we're all here. Thank you very much. I'm so sorry. It's gonna be a meeting. So sorry. So sorry. All right. We are all in order. And are there any announcements? No, I don't have any announcements. Public appearances, that's next. And public appearances is if you do not have a comment about something that is on the agenda. So if you do have a comment about something that is on the agenda, you'll have to wait for that item. So any public appearances? Is anybody online? Nobody online? Do come up to the podium and. No? Okay. Then we're going to, there is one, change in the agenda, actually two changes in the agenda. And is Ian online? Ian, are you here? Not yet. All right. We are going to move. Sorry.
Yeah, Ian is on the call and on video right now.
I am here, Chair Doyle. Apologies.
Great, thank you. We have a question. In one of the consent calendar items, there's a date correction. Can we amend it as we're voting on the consent, or do we have to change it? Do we have to pull it from the consent agenda?
I think you can make the change, an amendment in the motion to approve it. That should be fine. I can confirm with Jeff Mitchell, but I don't see that as an impediment.
It's just we have to change 2024 to 2025. And it doesn't seem like it's a major. Does any objections from any of the commissioners? Public? Excellent. All right. Thanks very much. And then another informational item. We are going to move the there are two things that are listed for discussion. 10.2, the Ad Hoc Legal Services Committee report is actually not a discussion item. It is just, it is not just, but it is a report. So we're going to move 10.2 down to 13.2.5. Okay? Question? All right. And with that, we are going to move to action item by resolution 4.1, the Pride Month resolution, which is always a good one to read. Commissioner Goldberg, would you like to read the resolution? No, I will. Wait, no? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'll read it. Resolution Pride Month 2025. Whereas June is designated as International Pride Month, serving as a time to promote self-affirmation, dignity, equality, and increased visibility of the LGBTQIA+ community. And whereas while strides have been made toward equity, inclusion, and belonging, the work to promote queer rights is ongoing and significant challenges for our queer community members are growing. And whereas LGBTQIA plus people around the world have faced widespread anti-trans and anti-queer legislation, as well as book bans and the condemnation and erasure of queer lives and experiences, with a devastating cost to the mental health, physical health, and well-being of the queer community. And whereas California libraries are leaders in advancing civil rights for all people, including the rights of LGBTQIA plus residents, to help ensure that queer joys and struggles are never erased, Sonoma County Library is committed to providing opportunities for queer people to add to and honor the shared history of our county and to connect. And whereas the library actively works to ensure that collections, programs, and services reflect, represent, and uplift the lives and experiences of queer people. And whereas libraries are places where the queer community is always welcomed and celebrated, not just during Pride Month, but every year. Therefore, be it resolved that the Sonoma County Library Commission celebrates June 2025 as Pride Month.
I'd like to use the privilege of the chair to second that. Any discussion? Any comments? Commissioner Evans.
One thing, as you're reading it, you said every year, but it's every day. Wanted to point. That's all right. I just wanted, I know, little slip there. It's okay. It's okay. And it's true. So just wanted to point that out.
Okay. Commissioner Engor, you have a comment?
No, second.
I seconded.
Oh, you
I did. Just because I could. All right,
And then
then
you
on
can
there,
have
any other comments?
Public comment?
Any public comments? Okay, then I'll take the roll. Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Goldberg,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Mr. Poles. Yes. Commissioner Elton,
Enthusiastically, yes.
Commissioner Engbar,
Yes.
Mr. Evanridge,
Yes.
Mr. Lagos.
Yeah.
Commissioner Taylor.
Yeah.
Commissioner Green.
Yeah.
I will definitely make it unanimous. Fabulous.
Can I say something?
Of course.
Or do you, okay, so yesterday, our branch manager at Guerneville, Mel McCollum, is it McCollum or McCollum? McCallum, got an award from the Board of Supervisors for the work that she and the Guerneville branch have done for the queer community. And some of us went there and were with her, and it was really wonderful.
That's great. Could we make a note in the minutes of the meeting that we're recognizing her honor? That'd be great. Thank you. Okay, next item is presentation on about the innovation grants and portable chargers. Yeah, come see.
Oh. Hello, my name is Roxanne Shapley, and I'm presenting for the Innovation Grant Charger. Oh. Into the mic. For this program, we brought it about because many of our patrons have smartphones and other devices, but our branches don't have the infrastructure to support their power needs. And we have charging stations, but there are high points for incidents at our locations, whether it's soft or it's not getting along. The portable chargers for in-house use offer more flexibility for how people use the library. They can take them and use any section of the library they want rather than being bound to the charging station. They can also provide power during power outages, reduce risks of threat, and just expand services that we offer for folks' technology needs. We started off with the pilot at Central in August of 2024, and from August through December, we did have 400 checkouts with a portable charger. I just checked today, and we are over 600 checkouts for the 2025 calendar year. My supervisors and branch leaders at Central do report that we have less incidents, and staff said that as well. So we have less incidents of staff and just any incidents around the charging stations. And we have lots of positive feedback from our patrons and staff. One of the biggest bits of positive feedback was to get charging cables, and we have that now as well for patrons, and to expand to more branches. So we've expanded to 6 additional branches, and those include, so now all of the Santa Rosa branches have the portable chargers for in-library use, as well as Windsor, Cloverdale, and Sonoma. Those branches have them as well. These are some of our results from the survey, and the only 2 responses that were negative were, one was due to not having charging cables, so the patron couldn't use the charger, and another was the patron didn't have an IT on them and couldn't get a library card, because you do need a library card to check this out. That's another positive outcome of this program, is that it encourages more of our patrons to get library cards so that they can use it in the library. And yeah, here are some of the positive feedback from the surveys we did. Should I read them? Okay. These batteries are the best thing ever. I forgot my charging cord in the car. Thank you so much for having cords. I love the service, so helpful. Great addition to library services. Thanks for coordinating. Appreciate having the option for using the charger in the library. They work better than the charging station. Wonderful. Expand to more branches. A few of them that I chose. Thank you. Any questions?
I think you answered one of my questions. I have 2. First, I was curious why 2 patrons said that the service wasn't useful. What I think I heard you say was one person didn't have a cord, and you've since changed the program to
Yeah.
provide cords, so that was good input. The other person didn't have a library card. That's
Yeah.
okay. My other question, did people return these when they were due?
Yeah, most people have, so far we've free at Central since beginning the program. And 2 of those were folks that said they were confused as to whether they needed to return them, and they had left them. Somebody else was the patron of that, so we try to reiterate, because we check them desk and return to do the desk. So you had some success and Central, but only 3 in almost.
Is the checkout policy just for the day?
Encourage them to return them within 2 hours or
Oh.
once their charging needs are met, so that we can recharge them and have them available. Each branch has 5 portable chargers, so for them to be available for everyone's charging needs, we encourage folks to use a 2-hour period, but it's not something that's strictly enforced, because it's not like a laptop where it blocks service as long as there's power. Continue using it.
Thank you.
Commissioner McKenzie.
Thank you. Seems like a great idea. How much was the grant for?
I think it was around
18,000. So, did we run out of money? And is that why not all the branches got it, or?
Yes, we did run out of money because the branch decided to go through after surveying and talking to a few different branches that offer the service. Battery, and so we charge so that someone comes with a laptop or something, so it met all the needs we needed, and it was a reliable, good brand. And that was a little bit expensive for us, so then again, they just wanted.
So what are the plans then to get to the other?
Leave right now, we don't have funds allocated for that. I know Sebastopol's very excited to get it, and it's something that we may be able to purchase with friends money, since we already have it cataloged, so it'd be a transfer cost. The charging unit. No, and I think it's about 2 or
25.
yeah, for 5 charging packs, it was at 2,500. So it would be a good ask from Friends of the Library.
It definitely seems like something we should have on all the branches. Let me ask you a different kind of question. When you mentioned that, decreases the incidents,
Yes.
so people actually having their phones stolen from the,
So the standing charging stations there's a few different ways we have incidents. Sometimes people who don't get along are trying to use the same station or in closer proximity. So rather than being able to use different spaces in the library, people are in close proximity and just don't want to be. So that can incite an incident. And yes, that is another thing, because some folk leave their phone or their device at the standing charging station and go use computers or browse the collection. So that is a space. We do have signs that tell people to stay with their devices, but not everybody does.
so what happens when somebody gets their phone stolen in the library?
At the library, we encourage them to report it to PD.
Oh,
Yeah,
We just step back and say you'll have to report it.
yeah, for that, we'll put an incident in our report as well, but it's something that you would need to report to the.
Great, well, thank you. It's a great,
Mhm.
great idea. And then great innovation.
Commissioner Green.
You partially answered my question. So there's a charging station with 5 units?
So the service that we offer now is 5 pretty chunky charging packs that are at the reference desk, and folks can check them out at the reference desk. That's for the portable charger. And then we also have a standalone charging station. I believe there's one here in the Roanoke branch as well, where that is a station that is connected to power cords, so people would have to plug in their device at that station and leave it there, versus a portable charger. Something where you can take it with you. The branch is not connected to.
And the portable charger then gets recharged?
Yes.
And how long does it take for it to be ready to get to the next patron? If it
It's
is,
been pretty. Job. That's a skill thing. And they too. They have the ability to, I think, charge up a device, like 2 devices completely from 0. So, and some people, because there's multiple ports, they can charge multiple devices at the same time with them.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? This is just a comment. I have certainly read that a number of library systems all around the country have been using these during weather crises, fires, floods, that sort of thing. So
Yeah, that's another thing.
now that the fire season is officially started.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
great for power outages. That's part of why it'd be great to set it to all the branches.
Yeah.
For outages like that.
That's great. Thank you. Any public comment? Thanks very much. All right, we are going to. Yeah,
Well, I believe we're having a technical problem
are we?
with the volume of sound coming off the speakers. It cuts in and out. Heard the presenter fine directly. Speaker volume would go in and out every few seconds. So once again, you have problems here. I've had to guess, I'd say there's a short circuit somewhere. Don't think it's due to the microphone. It's just suddenly you don't hear it from the speaker podium. And then speaker podium. Anyway, just like to mention that.
Was it me rustling the pages? No? No? Oh, good.
Actually, you know what I think? We'll see with the next speaker. I think it's because of the direction of the mic. Some of the speaker's words were going into the mic and some were not under it. I think that direction is gonna maybe fix.
Let's hope so.
All right, we will see. Okay, moving into library reports.
Good evening. Let's see, we talked about Mel and how she was honored yesterday at the Board of Supervisors meeting. I also have some other great updates. Our library card percentage is now at 53.6%. And that is actually after we purged the database. So that goes to show last year, I think a few months ago, we were at 51%, now we're 53.6. So people are getting their library cards, which we love. We also are 40% complete with the design for the Roseland Library. And I will be going to the City of Santa Rosa's Design Review Committee tomorrow to give a public comment in support of them accepting the 40% design. So that's very exciting. I can say that, after the last commission meeting I attended, we talked about the meeting room size, and we were able to get an additional 120 feet for the meeting room. So it's now about 927 feet for the meeting room. So that's some good news. And as you can tell from Craig Palmer's report, we had a listening session at the Roseland Library with community members, and we will be providing feedback to the architect and the landscape designer on what the community members would like to see at the new Roseland Library. And lastly, I would like to say that yesterday I went to the Healdsburg Library to raise the pride flag, and I was able to get a sneak peek at the renovation, and it's really wonderful and lovely, and I think we're all going to be very happy and proud with the remodel. It's a really wonderful space. It looks so much bigger than it was with the inclusion of those windows. And the furniture still not in yet. We're waiting for the reference circulation desk to be in, but it really is a major improvement, and I'm sure the community members in Healdsburg are going to be very happy.
Any questions, Commissioner Cahill?
Yes, I have a question about the Roseland Library design. When we discussed this at the commission meeting, I mentioned the placement of the drinking fountain was upsetting the possibility of closing off the space more effectively. Did that get any traction with anybody?
We did move the drinking fountain kind of closer to where the bathrooms are so that we freed up a little bit more space there. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Commissioner McKenzie?
Yes, thank you. Very positive report. I'm curious, somebody make a note, like at the end of the year, because I know we've all had some concerns about circulation down, visits down. And we don't really have any statistics, at least we don't get them kind of branch by branch. Like I've heard that Runner Park is the busiest and stuff. So, but at the end of the year, could we have kind of a intense, detailed report of the kind of the flow month by month, so we can see the impact of these closures? And I'm sure we're gonna, burst with huge participation at the end, but.
Sure. I don't know if it will make it into the July agenda because of our posting deadlines, but we can certainly try to get it, if not in July, definitely in August.
Well, I was just saying, even at the end of this calendar year, that'd be fine with me, because see when they get open and burst of visits and all that.
Yeah, we can do that. Absolutely.
And the other question, may I ask our collections manager a question about, I was curious about the evaluation of Baker and Taylor police book program, because we talked about that at one point in time, whether we're still doing that or not.
Yeah. Hi, good evening, Commissioners. Jamie Anderson, Collection Services Division Manager. So every year we do evaluate the lease book program that we've had with Baker and Taylor for maybe 7 or 8 years now. This particular year, that vendor had some fulfillment problems, not just specific to lease book, but in general, they've had difficulty fulfilling our orders and orders of libraries nationwide. So our evaluation this year focused on a high number of cancellations and orders not being filled. So as a result of that, we have decided to reduce the number of lease books that we'll be buying next fiscal year. We'll still be buying some, but at a much lower level, and we'll keep monitoring the fulfillment and see if that improves. If it doesn't improve, we are probably going to drop off the program. We might. There are other companies that offer lease book program, and if we decide not to go that direction, we'll just simply start buying additional fees outright instead of leasing them. In other words, the number of copies are not going to change. We'll just get them elsewhere or buy not least these.
It seemed like a really good idea because there's that bulge and then nobody wants to read it anymore and they all get turned over to the friends. By leasing them, we avoid that problem. I didn't know about all the filming problems. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
This wasn't on the record. Yes, Commissioner Bolt.
I know this is something that is not gonna happen soon, but I just wonder if there is a feeling of needing a commissioner from Roseland when it's.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Yeah, that I know this is a year in advance. I realize I'm saying something, but as the Roseland Library is built, are we thinking we need a commissioner from Roseland? Will there be another commissioner?
No. it's
Will
part
it be
of federal,
I'm just
but-
asking, the
Yeah.
JPA will put it, okay, I just was asking if it would be a standalone versus just Santa Rosa. Okay.
It's also part of the JPA, so we're. Any other questions? Any public comments? And now we move to 6.2, budget and finance reports.
Good evening. Before you is the monthly report for ending April 30th, 2025. And April 30th represents 83% of the fiscal year having transpired. And the Finance Committee met on May 19th and discussed this report. And total revenues combined through April 30th are $38.8 million. If you could scroll down a little bit, just wanted to note here that under sales tax, we're still experiencing a shortfall, and the shortfall through April has increased from my prior projections. So as we can see, that sales tax continues to be volatile and uncertain in this fiscal year. So I just wanted to point that out. However, we're still seeing relatively promising results from our interests on our cash balances, as well as we do have some savings under expenditures that make up for that shortfall that I can expect at this time. So those are the highlights that I wanted to present to you in this report. And I'll take any questions.
Any questions? Any public comments? Thanks very much. Perfect. It is, all right. Item 7 is library advisory boards, the foundation and Friends of the Library. I don't believe we have anybody to make a report, so we see no official representative, so we will move on to the consent calendar. And as we discussed earlier, the date on the summer lunch at the library grant should be June 2025. So we will make that change. Do I have
Chair Doyle, before you go for first, second conversation, Kathy DeWeese has a few minor clarifications for that agenda item, lunch to library grant.
Okay.
And if it's okay that she explain those.
Hi, Commissioner, Kathy DeWeese, Children's Service Administrator. I believe you were given a revised copy of the agenda item report when you came in this evening. The finances are all exactly the same, but there were a couple of clarifications on there. It did state on the previous agenda item that we were serving free lunch for youth at 5 locations, and we're actually serving at 7 locations. It did leave off the original one, Sebastopol and Murder Park. So those 2 clarifications, I just wanted to make sure that we brought to your attention that as officially on the record. The one last thing is that, in terms of the fiscal impact, in previous years, we received 55% of the grant fund upfront and then 45% and then 10%. And this year we did receive 90% upfront with 10% later. So those were clarifications that I'll have to make. Thank you.
Does anybody have any objections to keeping it on the consent calendar? Okay, thank you. Commissioner McKenzie.
I'd like to point to move.
Okay.
Consent calendar, wait, the amendment of the date change in the grant of the June 2025. And I also had some updates, so it's going to have stuff there. So thank you for that. And last, I would like to mention to my recommendation that Siri kind of really be so get a name out there as a team library.
Do I have a second? Right here. Nikki was first. Okay, that's great. Let's see. So, any questions? Any public comments? Okay. Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Goldberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Polk,
Yes.
Commissioner Elfin,
Yes.
Commissioner Engbar,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Lagos, Commissioner Taylor.
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
I'll make it unanimous. Lovely. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move into action items by motion. Let's hear an update on the fiscal year 2025 third quarter capital projects and increased appropriation by 1.8 and change $1 million.
Good evening. I'm Myrna Lopez, Chief Financial Officer, and wanted to present the Q3 capital projects update. And this is the second year that we are presenting on a quarterly basis as an improvement for reporting on our capital projects. And every quarter we present to the Finance Committee and the Commission as to the progress of the capital projects and releasing funds, requesting to release funds based on the progress of the projects. And in facilities, you see in attachment A, projects, the status of those projects and the amount that we are asking to be released. And on attachment B, you will see the projects for our information technology division. Overall, staff is requesting to increase appropriations for the facilities division by $1,557,414, and under the IT division, $300,539,000. And there are summaries of the projects, but they are doing well and within budget, except for the Healdsburg project. And in this case, we are asking the commission to take a few actions to close a funding gap that is estimated at about, find it here, about 856,000. There is savings under a couple of our line items, capital furnishings, and we're asking to use $100,000 of savings there towards the funding gap. Also, to use $350,000 that was allocated to the central for design costs. There's savings there. And a request for additional funds. So these would be new funds of $406,264. Major reasons for increases in this budget is that there have been delays in the project. And when we ultimately received the bids for the contract, they were greater than anticipated, and we've had some change orders. So wanted to see if you had any questions on this, and we also have our facilities manager here to answer any.
Questions for the commission, Commissioner McKenzie?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to ask you about our Toddy. I am a little bit, I've heard two different things, or maybe I'm just confused about it, but the city's taking the lead on the infrastructure grant, which I understand. And if they haven't scheduled going for that, I'm just wondering if the carpet and the painting are gonna be held up, because I thought it was all going to happen simultaneously. Or are we gonna go ahead with the carpet and the painting here and then wait on the infrastructure grant?
Yes, the carpet and repainting that is in the budget for next fiscal year is separate. That is a routine maintenance. While this project on lighting and heating is the capital project. The fund will remain a committed fund for the capital project until the city breaks ground on that.
But this time, we do anticipate this library will be painted and recarpeted. That be a secondary.
No, generally, we do it all at the same time.
That's what I
So that we
wanted.
don't have to close the library twice. And the city is actually, I've already received their draft co-op agreement, so I expect that after July 1st, we will be bringing that to the commission for approval. And so I think they're gonna be moving ahead pretty quickly with that project. So I expect it to be complete before the end of next fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. I don't expect a response today, but I'd like to see a report at a future meeting. It's on your comments on Central and the History and Genealogy Project. It says, basically things are uncertain or not clear about what the city of Santa Rosa is thinking about that space. And it's hard to make plans given the fact that they aren't being. I'm wondering if we can get a report specific to what the plans are for replacing or adjusting or changing Central in the annex, because I think now's the time to start planning if we're having to worry about having the funds available in the future for whatever the changes might be. I think we need to be talking about that, at least getting a foundation for discussions started on that. So I'd like to see a report.
I can answer that question. So the H&G is owned by the library, and we're going to complete that project next fiscal year. So that project is going to be completed. That is primarily the Building Forward Together grant funds, so those infrastructure projects. Central Library is actually not the city's, it's not the city that's holding the project up. It is the library reevaluating what scope we want to do with that project. So we have made the decision that we are going to repaint and carpet Central Library, but I'm waiting for the facilities improvement committee to provide some guidance on what we want to do about Central Library.
Are they still, is the city still thinking of wanting to take that space or to do a redevelopment project with that space?
They haven't communicated that to me. Recently, the last time they talked about that was when Ann Hammond was still the library director. So that hasn't been a discussion that I've had with the city of Santa Rosa.
I'm wondering if we can maybe find out whether that's still on their planning schedule is something to bring up.
Sure, I can ask them. The last time I talked to them, they thought it was 10-15 years out. So, but I can certainly, ask the city if they have made any other plans.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Commissioner Goldberg.
About the Biblio bus, maybe this isn't for you, I'm not sure who, but, I thought at one of our recent previous meetings, there was talk about reevaluating, whether the Biblio bus is financially feasible at all, and that it may not get a second one, and here there's talk about how to get a second one, so I'm confused about the Biblio bus. And then my second question, are you saying that, the central painting and carpeting will go ahead no matter what? That's, thank you. Okay.
Jessica Romero is not here tonight, but Dara might be able to talk about the Bibliobus acquisition.
There was discussion when we were talking about staffing. Oh, sorry, good evening, Commissioners. Staffing about the two buses separately. So the idea of them going out at the same time and being at multiple places all at once, that part is not feasible. We will keep the current Biblio bus when we get the new one. The current Biblio bus will be specific to children's events and school visits, so we'll be able to maintain the collection being child focused all the time. So we'll still be using both, but not as grand as we originally dreamed. Any follow-up questions?
Sure.
I have a question and a comment. First of all, thanks for the great overview. I have a question about Rankin Valley, where it indicates that there will be a proposal presented. The estimated start date is August 2025. The approximate costs are $4 million. I didn't see this in the budget for next year.
So it has not been approved. So, but as you will see, I will have a note about Rincon Valley. It is part of the fund balance calculations in there as requested by the finance committee. So there are some figures in next year's budget for information purposes and planning purposes, but it has not been yet approved. Rincon Valley staff is preparing a report for the finance committee in June. And given that discussion, potentially to the commission in July.
So it's just a timing, and until it's officially approved, it wouldn't show up as a capital item in the budget. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
And there information.
Okay, and then just a comment about Healdsburg. I'm excited that it's turning out so great. Obviously concerned that the cost has been over so much. And I don't necessarily disagree with what you said, Miriam, but I just want to point out that the finance committee did ask Dave to provide a more detailed breakdown on the expenses that were related to the mini library, including moving resources to and from that facility, preparing the facility. We just need to be in a position to understand exactly where all the cost overruns came from. And I think that was, I don't know the extent to which that was budgeted, but I have to believe that it was underestimated. You don't have to say anything. I'm just pointing out that that is a request from the finance committee. We'll have more information next month.
That's correct. That's noted in the report, and we are preparing.
Yeah.
For that request.
We appreciate it. That's.
Other questions, comments? Public comments? Thank you. So then, do I have a motion? Thank you, Commissioner Cahill. Second? Commissioner Hendrich? All right, then, Commissioner Cahill. That's a yes. Commissioner Goldberg.
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie. Yes. Mr. Bowles. Yes. Mr. Elkins.
Yes.
Mr. Engbarth.
Yes.
Mr. Henrich.
Yes.
Mr. Lagos.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
I will make it unanimous.
Chair Doyle, can you please clarify for me who was first and second?
Commissioner Cahill was first, Commissioner Heavenridge was second.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 9.2, the appropriations limits for the fiscal year 25-26.
Good evening. As part of the budget process, the library is obligated to calculate the appropriations limit for the next fiscal year. The California Department of Finance transmits a letter to the library with instructions on how to calculate the appropriations limit. It provides the price and population information for each jurisdiction and an adjusted cost of living and population growth over time. So we use these figures to adjust the appropriation limit from the prior year into the new year. And what it's measuring is the taxation on our resident. And we are not allowed to exceed the calculated limit. So this calculation shows that we are using the calculation that is presented in the Department of Finance letter, as well as the adjustments. And as you can see in the report, the adjusted appropriations limit is $57,894,809. The appropriations, the net appropriations that is subject to this limit in our budget is $45,619,793. So the difference is that we are below that limit by $12,275,016. That you have the resolution to approve this, and we will then submit this resolution to the county auditor's office as required by them.
This is because we're a special district. This is the special district requirement, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And for a couple of years, we neglected to file it just because we kind of got lost in there were all kinds of things going on. So I always am pleased when this shows up on a June meeting agenda. But not every library has to do one of these. It's just because we're a special district.
We're a separate government.
Correct, okay. Any questions? For sure.
I have a couple of questions. I understand this, we've gone through this every year, so I wanted to drill down on a couple of things. Two factors here. First of all, what is the date or the specific time period that's used? Is it the calendar year preceding, or is it our fiscal year preceding?
Fiscal year.
So this would be population change July 1 to June 30.
So for the population, the state measures this, and it's measured as of January 1.
Okay, so that's measured as of January 1. How about the other factor? What are the dates associated with that? Is that also a January 1 from the preceding year?
I don't have that specific information. It is the information that I have is in the letter that has been provided to us. I don't know this.
So I'm going to have a couple of questions that you won't be able to answer now, but that I hope we'll be able to get some clarification on in the future and won't prevent me from voting on.
I think I have the answer.
Okay.
If you look on attachment A,
Yeah.
it's section A price factor.
Yeah.
Here it is the per capita personal income. They measure it for fiscal year 25-26. The percentage change over prior year.
So this is an estimate of something that hasn't happened yet, right? If it's fiscal year 25-26.
Yeah, I don't have the details on how they calculate that.
Okay, and then the second question that I had has to do with what exactly it is, because as you point out here, they refer to this as per capita personal income. But in another place, it's referred to as cost of living. And those are not the same thing. So I was curious if you had any clarification on what exactly the source of the measurement is. Okay, well, I'll give you a chance to do that, but I would appreciate hearing back from yourself in
That's
the
an
future.
interesting question. I can refer back to the Department of Finance and, see what they tell me.
Yeah, I understand we're just following the formula, but I'd like to understand the formula a little better in terms of, what it is and what are the dates they're looking at, okay? Thank you very much.
And I believe the county does a lot of this, so.
I'm sure they do, which is why I'm gonna be comfortable voting in favor of it, but I want to understand it, the underlying. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'll
You
second.
wanna move?
I'll second.
Okay, did you get that? For Falcon, Commissioner McKenzie? All right.
Commissioner Engler.
Didn't I say that? I'm sorry. Oh, so sorry. Commissioner Ingles and Commissioner McKenzie. All right, any other comments? Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Goldberg,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie, Commissioner Poles,
Yes.
Commissioner Elton,
Yes.
Commissioner Ingbarth,
Yes.
Commissioner Heatheridge.
Yes.
Commissioner Lagos, Commissioner Taylor.
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
I will make it unanimous. Wonderful. We're getting through it. All right, 9.3. The fiscal year 25-26 budget in the amount of 47 million and change. Do you wanna?
Yeah, so I have a presentation similar to what was presented at the budget workshop. My name is Mira Lopez, Chief Financial Officer for the Sonoma County Library, and presenting the proposed fiscal year budget for 2025-2026. The commission held a budget workshop on April 16th as required in the Joint Powers Authority Agreement. And there were some remaining questions that staff prepared responses for and presented to this commission at its regular meeting in May. And now presenting the budget for your consideration of adoption. The budget is formulated based on the reimagining plan. We use our steady major revenues that enable us to have this wonderful budget. Also, our Measure Y sales tax ordinance and expenditure plan. And we continue to improve our services and access to the library and continue to have a strong stabilization or rainy day fund, as well as adhering to prudent fiscal policies and procedures that are in place. The following slides have additional detail. As you know, the library is subject to external factors that include economic conditions, local, state, and national conditions, as you are very familiar with. Federal monetary policies have tempered inflation ups and downs over the last few years. And these federal monetary policies have also resulted in slower revenue growth over the last couple of years, and in particular in sales tax. Sonoma County is very familiar with natural disasters and the impact on services and revenues. And also, just very key, is our important partnerships with the city and the county of Sonoma, especially as we plan our branch modernization projects with them. We will continue to monitor the budget regularly for any necessary adjustments in response to external factors. This chart shows actual revenue receipts for sales tax since 2017, which was when we first started to collect sales tax. Federal increases to interest rates have changed consumer behavior and spending activity compared to the last few years. And this has had impact on our sales tax revenue, which is the most sensitive to consumer behavior and economic volatility. As such, sales tax is trending in a negative growth rate for next year. In fiscal year 26, sales tax is projected to lose 1% compared to fiscal year 2025. And the growth rate takes into account a projected shortfall of about $400,000 in the current fiscal year. And this has been reported to the Finance Committee. Property tax, on the other hand, is projected to grow at 4.6% overall. And I will continue to monitor revenues on a monthly basis and make any adjustments during the mid-year review or sooner if needed. Key highlights for this year, next year's budget, it is expenditures of $47.63 million, 235 approximate FTE. It is a balanced budget. There is new revenue of $1.1 million. And this is the first time that we allocate the costs of Sunday positions in order to open on Sunday hours to property tax and sales tax. We are also investing in a new integrated library system to improve access and experience from patrons and staff, and maintaining a stabilization fund at 20%. Since the budget workshop, we've had some updates, and the first is the sales tax revenue. Sales tax is based on the current year's budgeted actuals. And since there is a continued growing deficit or shortfall in, I wouldn't say deficit, but a shortfall in sales tax revenues in this current year, that has required me to update the sales tax revenue and downward. And so as you can see in your budget book, on page 7 of the budget book, that sales tax will be about $169,000 lower than the current fiscal year. The other is that in the budget workshop, we proposed an account clerk, a new position under facilities to help with the growing administrative work there since the inception of Measure Y. There's been a lot more activity, more employees, and great number of projects. And Human Resources had subsequent review of our request and is recommending to increase this to a senior account clerk. There are some savings in services and supplies within the facilities division to offset the increase, so it is a net zero cost for us. Also, during the budget workshop, commissioners asked questions under the community engagement. There was about a program expenses. It's an account called Special Department Expense, which kind of is vague. And there's was about $500,000 in that one account. And all other divisions have much lower budgeted amounts in that account. But the reason why community engagement, we use it in particular to help track program costs and then report those to the Measure Y Oversight Committee. The county is, we've been asking the county to provide us some more clear accounts that are unique to the library, but that does continue to complicate their chart of accounts. But we were able to find some distinct accounts that the library does not normally use. And so we will designate those as specifically for the community engagement division to track costs. So we'll separate the costs for the performers, for example. We'll separate costs for materials and supplies to execute the programs. And then will still be some funding in the special department expense. And we've communicated this also we will communicate to the Measure Y Oversight Committee. And we also consolidated professional development under human resources. There was, again, it's just cleanup where there was some professional development in other divisions, very small amounts, but it's normally tracked under human resources. So where does all this funding go? We like to present expenditures in terms of people, places, and resources. The lion's share goes to people, which is salary and benefits, about 65% of the budget. Resources are services and supplies, which is about 31% of our budget. And this is where we are budgeting the major maintenance projects. Places, these are our branch modernizations. This is where we budget our capital funds for capital projects. As you can see, that's less than $1 million. And that's because we will be completing all of the major modernization projects in the current fiscal year. We will not have that same level of activity next year. We also have a contingency fund, about 2%. Here we illustrate appropriations by division, just to highlight the three major allocations of the budget go to public services with 39% of the budget, which represents staff at the branches. Collections, which is our physical books and digital collections at 15%, and facilities 13%. They support safe and healthy workplaces in addition to the maintenance and modernization projects. Our funding sources, this slide shows all of our funding sources, and they are the sum of the operating revenue plus property tax and sales tax fund balance associated with these funds. Funding is also augmented by gifts and donations from the generosity of the Friends of the Library organizations. As a reminder, the library uses fund balance for major maintenance and modernization projects for a total of $1.8 million. That includes, in addition to $281,729 for a one-time payment of the North Bay Consortium Library System. Property tax alone is $29.18 million. Sales tax is $15.5 million. Donations is about $280,000. We do have other, which includes interest earned on our cash balances, charges for services, and that's about $600,000 for 1%. And intergovernmental funds, which is represents grants and contracts with our county for about $600,000. This slide shows operating funds and FTE. We are proud that most of our resources are dedicated to the branches for direct service and support. Funding dedicated to the branches is 78% of the operating budget. And this includes 42% to public services and community engagement. 36% goes to support services, which combines facilities, IT, collections, and communications. And administration combined is 12%, and that represents executive services, budget and accounting, and human resources. On the FTE side chart, we have 235.73 FTE, 165.1 FTE, or 70% of total FTE, provide direct services to patron or support the branches, while 20 FTE are allocated to administration. One important factor in the budget formulation is applying the allocation of major revenues policy. And the blue here represents sales tax and red is property tax is in blue and sales tax is in red. And the expenditures are allocated 62% to property tax and 38% to sales tax. Under administration, expenditures are allocated 90% to property tax and 10% to sales tax. Capital projects are 10% to property tax and 90% to sales tax. The next slide. In terms of dollars, property tax is picking up $30.6 million, while sales tax is picking up $16.8 million. And this includes our capital projects. Here is the estimated fund balance. The fund balance policy provides direction on how these funds can be used. The fund balance reflects the committed funds for the Roseland Library and the change that was made to allocate 100% to property tax. The Finance Committee at its May meeting requested also that to ensure that Rincon Valley and Healdsburg are reflected here for planning purposes. The Healdsburg project, thank you, the commission has approved that, but the Rincon Valley is in this calculation, although it's still pending approval. And as mentioned earlier, staff will present to the Finance Committee and possibly the July commission meeting as well. And therefore, the estimated fund balance reflects those funds that committed fund balance. And these entries did reduce the unrestricted or unassigned fund balance compared to the budget workshop. So with these updates, property tax is expected to have $6.5 million, sales tax $5.6 million, with a total of $12.2 million in unassigned fund balance. And of course, the caveat is that the final numbers are subject to any additional appropriation in the current fiscal year, next fiscal year, and also the actual revenues. So the accomplishments that we have in this current budget, it is balanced with very modest changes to revenues. It sustains Sunday hours at all branches by allocating costs to property tax and sales tax to make those hours sustainable, and maintains the stabilization fund at 20% of expenditures. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Mr.
Thanks. Great presentation. Thank you, Lisa, for turning me right side up. Two quick questions. First, on page 186, the OPEB payments. That's it, yeah. Yeah, and I realize this is, here we go. So my question is, I'm assuming that we are doing both the pay-as-you-go and the additional 750K each year, is that correct? That's great. And then my second question, you mentioned a couple of times that the stabilization fund is maintained at 20%, which I think is great. And, you know, Barbara, thank you for pushing us in this direction. My question is 20% of what? In other words, when we look at the budget overview, which appears on page 111. Is it 20% of non-capital expenditures or 20% of total expenditures? Okay, so there's a follow-up question. The approved total for the last fiscal year, total expenses was 53 million. So 20% of that's gonna be what, 10,600,000, something like that. This year, it's actually lower. It's gonna be 47.6 million. So it's gonna be roughly 9.5. Do we reduce the amount in the stabilization fund if total expenditures go down in the budget? Or do we keep whatever the highest previous amount is, regardless of whether it goes down?
The stabilization fund is adjusted.
It's adjusted. Okay, thank you.
Ms. McKenzie.
It's a great, comprehensive, covering all the bases. Really appreciate how clear everything is. And how well documented. Thank you so much for all of your work, staff work throughout this process. I have one request that I would like edited somehow. I don't know how where that goes in this, but on the page about responses to open questions, it's my page number isn't numbered. It's all the way at the end of the packet.
I had a point of order. Before you is what is the budget, and the commission already accepted the response to the open question.
So I'll just maybe verbally say this for the record, then I know what you're saying. I'm afraid you were gonna answer it that way. But my question on the second half of this was just, I'd like to request legal review of the legality of using Measure-wise sales tax funds for the purposes of the new Roseland Library. I was actually asking for a legal opinion for the use of the funds for construction of the library building. So whether this just gets into the minutes, it sounds, like I'm opposed to the whole project. But I was asking specifically about the use of the funds for construction of the building. So making note of that in however way we can do that.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner.
Yeah, I just have a question about on page 208 of 360, there's the percentage for the administrative costs of 12%. And I think it was the same amount last year, but I'm not sure, and I'm wondering whether you could maybe put together a chart and show us, show us that subject, what the percentage of the administrative cost is for, maybe going back 5 years. But I think is my memory is that the 12% is close. Or is what it might have been last year, but I'm not sure.
Is this page 208?
Yeah, he's talking about the first chart, the pie chart on page 208. There's two pie charts. One has to do with percentage of operating budget, and the other is total FTE. And my memory serves me, I believe it is the same, but we can certainly review and
we can report.
yeah, I can say the FTE hasn't changed.
Yeah.
So.
Over here.
Well, last year we added the admin specialist for community engagement and.
My understanding is that it's well within the ratio of what administrative costs should be for is the organization our size. But that question does come up frequently from people about, oh, well, the administration's top heavy or and I think we've been pretty close to 10%, 12% over the number of years. But I think just maybe a snapshot, a simple bar graph to showing, maybe going back 10 years, whatever you want to do with it, just to be able to show that it's been stable at at
Well,
I believe Commissioner Elkin has a response to that.
I appreciate the question. I just pulled up the packet from last year, June, and it shows a chart that's very similar. It's 12%.
Yeah.
But I can report that the percentage, of, funds for administration as well as the FTE, the ratio has remained stable, since the passage of Measure Y. We basically have the same ratio of, administrators that we did before the measure was passed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'd just be the type of thing that'd be nice to have at our fingertips and be able to, when it, community input comes in about it, to have us be able to say, well, hey, this is what the range, the acceptable range is for administrative costs. And I think it's like 20% is the high end, so we're been at 12% for.
Great suggestion, but can I take that as a motion that you want to approve the budget?
No, just a question for Miriam, just to see whether, not a motion suggesting we have a
Any
chart.
other questions from you? Any other, members of the public have any comments? Okay, do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay, absolutely. Commissioner Green was first, and Commissioner Elkin was second. Any other comments, last comments? Okay, Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Goldberg,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie, Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Elkin,
Yes.
Commissioner Engbar,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge,
Yes.
Mr. Lagos, Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll make it unanimous. Wonderful.
I want to thank particular the budget, accounting, and financial services staff for the commitment. Making this report and budget as clear as possible, user friendly and readable for you all. And I couldn't do this work without them. It's a pleasure working with you.
Every year it gets better,
Thank you.
truly.
It was a really great report and it was understandable and clear, and thank you very much, you and the staff.
Thank you. We're also very aware that, things are very strange economically and with grants and things like that, so we add that to it, so thanks very much. All right, then we are moving on to 9.4, work compensation insurance renewal policy.
Good evening. Here to present the final policy that I presented last month. And if you have any questions, I would like to answer them at this time.
Any changes?
No changes.
Any questions? Any public comment? Do I have a motion?
I motion to pass.
So. And Commissioner Heavenridge is the second. All right. Commissioner Cahill.
Yes.
Commissioner Goldberg.
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie. Commissioner Bowles. Commissioner Elkin.
Yes.
Commissioner Engbar.
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge.
Yes.
Commissioner Lagos.
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor.
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
I'll make it unanimous. Next, the property and casualty insurance renewal policy.
Yeah, so I do have a update on that. This morning we received the policy finder for the fair play for Kernville. We did not have that at that time, so now we do have that premium that we can pay and sign off on that. Once you approve the rest of this policy proposal, and so that will be provided the coverage that we need. Unfortunately, Kernville isn't a wildfire zone, so we just had a little bit of a during that, but now that we have the fair plan, we'll have that covered, so I'll be excited. Paying those premiums.
Any questions? Yes, no problem.
What is the amount of the?
It's the same as what they expected, it's just under $1,350.
the fire insurance for Burnville is $1,350.
Yes, it's a limited plan based on the zone that we're in.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Oh, and I did let the broker know that you were interested in that. She said she would I could give them the contact information.
No other questions? No other comments? Okay, public comments? So a motion. Commissioner Cahill, Commissioner Melton. Commissioner Cahill is a yes, Commissioner Goldberg.
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie. Commissioner Poles.
Yes.
Elkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Engelbarth.
Yes.
Mr. Heavenridge.
Yes.
Commissioner Lagos. Commissioner Taylor.
Yes.
Mr. Green. Excellent. And I'll make it unanimous. And then finally, we're. Number 6, sorry. The contract of the 10 block security for July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2027.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can.
Good evening, Chair Doyle, Director Cabell, Commissioners. I'm Barbara May, Public Services Division Manager in Houston. Here on behalf of myself and Sarah Van Trees, my fellow Public Services Division Manager, to ask that you authorize the library director to 2-year contract for the period of July 1st, 2025 through June 30th of 2027 with Defense Block Security for Sandy Guard and Night Security Control Services. We are excited to start with the Windsor Baby security company Defense Block and own and control while expanding our standing guard service to the park and more efficiently Union Valley and Road. We also look forward to the added benefit of those guards carrying Narcan and being trained in CPR. And we are confident that this new contract will meet the needs of our Sonoma County Library and that it falls within our budgetary needs forward. I'm here if you have any questions.
Any questions? Mr. McKenzie.
Thank you for this. Like preface with saying, you know, it is sad that we have to spend $500,000 a year on security services for the state of things. I was very impressed with this proposal and all the detail that you were asking for and all the very detailed specifics. And anyway, it was an impressive RFP and also impressive response by, and this is a new security company we have not dealt with.
Correct, yeah.
And I just, one of the things I was so amazed about with this geocoding, that they apparently walk around with their phones and check in with these QR codes apparently, and so you can prove that they've walked the beat, really. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Have we ever had that before in the other one?
We do a kind of a form of it, and it's mainly, they'll be using it mainly with our overnight patrols, but we do have the option of using it in our branches. And Central kind of has that already with like check-ins where they can go around the branch, but none of our other locations have it.
Well, anyway, well done. Thank you.
That's a big shout out to Dave Tucheva for his help with the RFP.
Thank you, Dave.
Commissioner Evans.
Appreciate the very comprehensive RFP process. As part of the decision making, were you able to get references from current clients?
Yeah, I mean, the RFP process.
And can you share any of the, in general, what you heard about this firm?
Ian, can staff share that with a couple of notes with the commission? We know you're looking for your volume control. There you go.
Yeah. So you're just sharing the referrals that you learned in securing this bid, Barbara, is that correct?
I think that's the question, right?
With references, I was asking if they had a chance to talk with current clients and what they had heard from them.
I don't see any issue with that. If you,
So the references are just listed in the RFP response.
So we had quite a large RFP response for
Right.
each of the companies that gave us the information. And they listed who they are currently working with
Right.
and a lot of their documents, and those were the references that we worked on.
So what I'm asking is, I know they provided them. Did you contact them and have and talk to them about the firm and their experience with them?
I don't, Dave, do you have any comments on that?
We didn't officially contact like the city of Roanoke Park, who they have a contract with, and the county. They didn't list like the primary person to contact necessarily, and that, like Barbara was saying, we had 11 responses. We interviewed 5 or 6. That's how we get sense.
I think related question, Andy brought up, was, did you verify their license with the licensing board, the state licensing board? And did you ask for a list of any disciplinary actions brought against either the owner or company itself?
That's great too. I think that's listed in the RFP. We did not officially call and make sure they have a license. We assumed that they'd have.
Because they just for future reference checks. Anybody who's licensed with the state, it's online, you can get it, you don't have, they'll provide you with the license information online from the agency, that's the licensing agency. So in this case, the agency that oversees security service, people that have licenses to do it. And something I noticed and that was one, that it was a new company, but that also the owner company is listed as a person that has another account and shows another agency in Santa Clara. And I didn't have the time because I just got this in terms of checking further on it, but I think that would be a good thing to do in the future, because there are people that represent themselves as being licensed or as having clear credentials that aren't in fact that way by the state. It's a simple check.
You offer some good points. Definitely would be a part of a next RFP or something like that.
And certainly you can check to see whether they have a license, even if we sign the.
We'll do that.
Sounds good. Other questions?
Simply what's not in the packet is the entire response from them with all of their, everything that they submitted to us. The RFP and then the scope of work and everything for the public services agreement. But if there's more information that you'd like us to follow up with, we can do. Because it's the breadth of information. Full response from them. And so it's not included in here, but we could give you information if you were asking.
There was another hand up, I think. Yeah. Yes. Mr. Cahill.
Yeah, I'm impressed with the new contracts. I think we're being very well served, assuming that they're licensed, which I'm pretty sure.
Since Sarah and I are process of this nature because we just acquired this into our budget, so that's why we rely heavily on Dave and Portugal for help through public service. That's why I don't have readily available all of the technical documents.
Any public comment? Okay, then do I have a motion? Okay, Mr. Green moves. Do I have a second? A second. Commissioner Paul seconded. All right. Commissioner Cahill.
Yes.
Commissioner Goldberg.
Yes.
Mr. McKenzie.
Yes.
Mr. Poles.
Yes.
Commissioner Elkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Ingram.
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge.
Yes.
Commissioner Lagos.
Yeah.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
You now have a contract. Great. Okay, we're moving into 10, and we only have one item because 10.2 has been moved down to reports. So we have come to the time of year to talk about nominations for chair and vice chair for next year. for this coming fiscal year. So do we have any nominations? Someone volunteering?
I'd like to nominate someone for.
Second that, which is that.
That's great. And so this means that then next month we will take a look at a proposal that you, an application, if you will, a self-nomination or an outline. And I would like to nominate Commissioner Green to be the vice chair again.
I would second that.
And we've got a second. And you know the procedure also. Anybody else? And so if you do change your mind, if you do want to, be a nominee, fill out the forms and get it to us for the next commission meeting. And in the meantime, we will, thank everybody. Thanks for making that, a quick subject. So our next item on the agenda is we are going to move into closed session. So before we move into closed session, we are going to have a conference with our labor negotiator. We are going to take public comments. 2 minutes? 2 minutes. Thank you, Carol. And we have also had a number of written comments as well. All of the commissioners have seen them, so we really want to appreciate the time that you've taken to be here, and we understand your concern.
Good evening, my name is Carrie Bailey. I have worked in the Sonoma County Library IT department for 22 years. I am also on the contract negotiation team. I'm not sure if you all know how our salary step system works. We have 10 steps that grant a 2.5% increase to our base hourly rate for every 2,080 hours. If a full-time 40-hour per week employee starts at step 1, they will max out after 10 years. Once we reach the top step, we must rely on cost of living adjustments for any wage increases unless we try to get a new position or a market adjustment. In 2003, I was initially started above step 1 because of my experience coming into the position. I'm in my second position with the IT department. With my current position, I had to start at step 8 so that my salary did not decrease, and I am once again maxed out. So at this point, all I get is COLA or any kind of upgrade. The 3% yearly COLA that the library has proposed is a little hard to accept by public service staff because of how large our administration has become. Staff think that we are very top heavy. Are you aware that the director of our library system makes more than the government of California, the governor of California? Let that sink in. Our library director makes more than the leader of the 4th largest economy in the world, while our current director has done and continues to do a wonderful job. As far as responsibilities are concerned, I don't think library director and governor compare.
That's true.
Okay, well, I do have a statement from the person next. All right. As a librarian serving in, this is from Allison Randall. As a library serving families in West County, I see and smell daily effects of poverty. We work hard to provide comfort, resources, and books to people who have so very little. And many of these patrons are children. It is stressful to know that the library is just about all these people have. Please don't add to our stress by making the
public servant, sorry. Please don't add to our stress by making the public serving staff stress about their own financial situations. Support us reasonably so we can support our communities. Times are hard. We see this every day. Don't make it harder on us. Thank you, Allison Randall, Guerneville Library.
Hi there, I'm Mary Carter. I'm actually going to read first a comment from Jillian Reed. She is a part-time specialist at the Northwest Santa Rosa Library. I'm a half-time library specialist, but I sub regularly and I work about 35 hours a week on average for the library, sometimes working 6 days a week. From the time I turned 26 last September through the end of December, I paid what a half-time specialist who does not take sub shifts would pay for health insurance through Kaiser, which was $547 a month. My plan just covers me and I don't have any major health problems. During that period where I was paying the full amount, I had applied to rent a studio apartment in an income restricted apartment building and just barely met the minimum income requirement necessary to rent a studio, which was the cheapest option. I had run the numbers several times to feel certain that I could afford it. I was ultimately denied for a different reason, but the idea that I, working so close to full time, came that close to being unable to afford the cheapest, most affordable apartment as a single person without roommates stuck with me. Once the new year started, my insurance was adjusted to reflect the average amount of hours I normally work, which again is 35 hours a week. So I now pay $271 a month. That's a 50% cut. And yet it's still apparently over 3.5 times as much as one of my full-time coworkers pays for their health insurance. Nonetheless, I'm very grateful for the cost adjustment and was so relieved when I got it. It will be unfortunate if I have to spend almost $300 more each month again for health insurance if the library stops using our extra help hours to calculate our benefit coverage. I don't want to complain about the hourly wage of specialists, as this is by far the best paying job I've ever had. But I do want to note that the majority of employees that will be affected if the library stops using our extra help hours to calculate our health benefits are likely the large group of hardworking part-time library specialists that are already getting paid one of the lowest hourly wages in the system. All right, thank you. I'll read it.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Jen Ryder. I'm the president of the union, but I'm reading a statement today from one of my colleagues, Jenny Fernandez of the Windsor Regional Library. She writes, "Greetings. I've been in the system for 24 years. Since 2010, I have worked 30 hours as a specialist so I can balance working and being a single mom. I regularly sub extra hours and am able to choose the times and dates that work around my daughter's busy schedule. With SCL considering to remove the language in the MOU where benefits are calculated based on FTE status of the year before, honestly gives me no incentive to continue subbing. Why are part-timers getting punished with the library wanting to remove our earned CTO with us having to pay our expensive benefits according to our FTE status? I am very disappointed that the library would consider the proposal. It really does not feel like our hard work is valued. Thank you."
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Lillian St. Clair. I'm a library associate at Central Library. I love the library just as fiercely as our patrons do. We offer wonderful services, resources, and programs for all library users. We create community in our spaces through staff-patron interaction, and it is these staff interactions that allow the library to shine. So when I hear that the library doesn't put the same value on these interactions as patrons do, it simultaneously breaks my heart and incenses me. Staff work tirelessly to bring library services to all patrons through programs, outreach, and in-branch services. Love for the staff is a large part of why Measure W was passed. Patrons value the human connection provided to them while at the library. Staff are that human connection. I am that human connection. We are the link that connects people to their libraries. And yet our pay does not reflect our work. As cost of living continues to rise in Sonoma County, our wages stagnate, creating tension in our personal lives that oftentimes spill over into our work lives. Food insecurity, rent stress, unexpected bills. Many of us are living paycheck to paycheck. I am living paycheck to paycheck. Why is my work, my dedication to the library not valued? Staff are the most important asset of the library. Without us, there would be no library. I urge the commission and the library to not lose sight of that. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Good evening, I'm Diana Spalding, branch manager at the Petaluma Library. And regarding economic issues, I wanted to point out that the CPI, Consumer Price Index, is inadequate to approximate the cost of living in Sonoma County. Rent, utilities, and gasoline are all more expensive here, plus their rate of increase are steeper, and they make up a large portion of most people's budget. They are not captured by CPI. Previous COLAs may have kept pace with CPI, but not with our actual cost of living. In fact, we are falling further and further behind. A state of housing report by the Generation Housing Group from 2023 states specifically, and I quote, teachers and librarians, among other workforce residents, on average require rents of just over $1,000 in order to be able to afford to live in Sonoma County, roughly $800 below the median asking rents at present. The Affordable Housing Needs Report from 2024 for Sonoma County states that renters need to earn 2.2 times the minimum wage to afford the average asking rent in Sonoma County. That's $39.21 an hour, 2.2 times the minimum wage. So how do SCL jobs rank? Most do not pay $39.21 an hour. In fact, step one wages for all specialists, all librarian ones, and all librarian twos fall below this point. Among represented employees, only 16 positions and numbering about 25 people total. These are librarian threes, programmer analysts, senior building mechanic, and branch managers earn more than $39.21 an hour. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Stephen Alporta, librarian at Central. I'm reading a letter from Jessica Rasmussen, administrative specialist in community engagement. As a part-time employee, I find it deeply troubling that the library is willing to disregard actual hours worked when determining eligibility for benefits. Like the vast majority of part-time staff, I consistently exceed my official full-time employment status. Our teams rely on this level of commitment, and frankly, so does the library. It is disingenuous to benefit from our labor while simultaneously denying us corresponding compensation. Recent hiring underscores the library's clear dependence on part-time labor. There are 3 positions open right now, 2 for shelvers and 1 for associate, all part-time. Of the 5 of recent recruitment efforts, 4 were for part-time specialists. Notably, the only full-time opening was in human resources. This reliance on part-time workers isn't incidental, it's by design. The library cannot have it both ways. If this model is to remain sustainable, then part-time employees must be compensated based on the reality of their contribution, not a manipulated version of their FTE. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Monica Samantha Hernandez, and I'm an event specialist at HQ. I'm reading today for Karina Joaquin Vargas, a librarian at Northwest Santa Rosa. I want to speak on the importance of extra help shifts as both an employee that relies on extra help shifts and as a regular staff member who benefits from having extra help in branch. At the heart of what we do at the library as public service workers is to help the public access information and resources they need to thrive in our community. The main way we can best reach the community is in person and the branches where the public can reliably come to seek information and help. Our ability to serve communities in the branches has been impacted by the reduction of extra help shifts. The limitations set regarding extra help requests has meant that regular staff is continually stretched thin when others are unable to come in due to sickness or prior obligations, both personal and library related. Extra help employees who are able to fill in those absences are indispensable. They help us in so many ways, but the most importantly, they are there to assist patrons at the standard we strive to as a library when we are unable to. This is even more important when it is widely known that the library workers throughout the US are increasingly being asked to do more and are reaching burnout in their careers more quickly. As a part-time employee, I rely on extra help shifts to help me earn a salary that allows me to reside in Sonoma County. With the reduction of extra help shifts, being able to earn enough becomes harder every week. I either need to have more hours or increase in pay to make ends meet. I regularly work 6 days a week to earn enough. And as an even newer librarian, I see that that what I do is work enough hours would at some point become unsustainable. Thank you.
Madam Chair, perhaps we can have our customary 5-minute break at this point.
How many more, can I see hands of?
Yeah.
If you don't mind, we are. Let's take a 5-minute break just before the library closes. I'm sorry. And it will be 5 minutes.
Yes, it's on this.
Everybody, we're calling it back to. Thank you. All right, we are continuing with comments before our closed session.
Hello, I'm Anne Bell. I'm an extra health specialist. And I'm reading for Joy Bethune, who is a specialist at Sebastopol. Joy writes, I just wanted to send a really quick note to remind you and the library administration that you all should consider the optics of denying the union and the library workers who keep this organization running so well the COLA that is being asked for less than 1 year after the workers and the union worked so hard to get our funding measure passed. We got you the funds, we deserve to be paid properly, and that means extra help too. Many regular staff rely on extra help hours to make ends meet. Thank you.
Next.
Mary Carter here again. I'm reading for myself this time. I am a supervising library specialist at the Northwest Santa Rosa Library Branch. I oversee 5 library specialists and 3 shelvers. Every day I'm amazed and also proud of the kindness, caring, and competency demonstrated by our team and the ways that they go above and beyond to help our patrons get whatever they need. The Sonoma County Library attracts great people who not only love books, but also absolutely love taking care of all the people in our community. So please believe me when I say that we need to fight hard to keep these amazing staff members happy and on our team. They are the lifeblood of our system, and we would not be such a great organization without them. My team is not just here for a paycheck. They're here because of it's their passion. But they still really need the paycheck. Specialists and shelvers don't make nearly as much money as librarians and administrators. As the cost of living goes up in our county, they depend on the pay raises that they get from the COLAs to help them get by, especially our shelvers. Shelvers are limited to 15 hours of work a week. They are never allowed to work extra help shifts, and they only ever get a raise from the negotiated COLAs. Imagine what that's like for them to know that no matter how hard they work every day or how many years they work for SCL, they will never get a raise unless all of you here at the table make it possible through the contract negotiations. What you approve for negotiations is the only raise that they will get for the next 3 years. The 9% COLA over 3 years that is currently offered does not seem like enough for all the work they and the rest of our staff do. The union has asked you for more, and I'm here to beg you to listen and to compromise with them and to bring the COLA number up higher than 9%. We are not just numbers on a page. We are real people with real lives and real families that we need to support. We show up for the library every day because we love our work. Show us some love back. Show us some appreciation. Please compromise with the union and raise our COLAs. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Javier Morales, and I'm a librarian here in Sonoma County. Last month, I stood before you asking for respect and fairness. Tonight, I'm here because that fight continues and because we need to be clear about what real fairness means. Since our last meeting, you've moved from an 8.5% cost of living adjustment to 9%. While any movement is appreciated, let's be honest, 9% is lower than the 10.5% library workers received during the Great Recession in 2008. And it's not so impressive when you consider that we started at 4.5%. Even though today the cost of living is higher than ever, our union is fighting for an 11% COLA over 3 years. But it's not just about a percentage, it's about timing. It's about making sure this increase is retroactive to the start of the year. We've been clear, inflation has been eroding our paychecks every month of this year. If you don't make this COLA retroactive, it's a hidden pay cut. Every day you delay, library workers lose real money. Money we need to pay rent, to buy groceries, to support our families. We deserve to have our pay keep pace with the cost of living, not just for the future, but for every month we've already worked. When library workers come to these meetings, we don't just show up. We arrange childcare, we rearrange our schedules. Some of us are afraid to speak in public, but we do it anyway because our families and our futures depend on these jobs. It takes courage to stand here and ask for what we deserve. Every day you delay fair wages, you lose good people to better opportunities. Every meeting where you offer inadequate proposals, you're gambling with the stability of the services our community voted to support. We're not just asking you to listen, we're asking you to act, to invest in the people who make our libraries run, and to make sure our COLA is retroactive to January of this year. Anything less is a disservice to the workers who serve this community every day. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm reading on behalf of Adrielle Ahern, who's a librarian at Sebastopol Library. Dear Library Commission, I love my job. Being a librarian is fun, and I love working in my community. However, our library administrators appear to be prioritizing remodels and new technology like the AMH machines that do not have wide support from library staff over the care, wages, and benefits that would help us maintain our qualified, caring, professional, public-facing staff. Public-facing staff are a huge part of why the library passed Measure W, and we deserve to receive wage increases that match the increasing cost of living. We deserve to have our interests be prioritized in the same way we prioritize the needs of our communities. Thank you.
Evening, Commission. Good evening, fellow employees. My name is Lee Dawson and I'm a shelver at Northwest. I earn $18.08 an hour. The cost of living adjustment creates an increased distance between those highly paid and those lowly paid. In our library system, there's a third group to consider, the shelvers. Shelvers do not receive step increases in benefits as do other employees. Their pay trend is flat. And COLAs are the only pay increases shelvers receive. To add insult to injury, shelvers, the lowest paid employees, have unique burdens that will be exacerbated by an overly low COLA. Consider the following burdens shouldered every day by shelvers, keeping in mind that shelvers make up about 10% of the library employees. Shelvers have the highest commute burden, spending the most time and money commuting per hour worked when compared with all other employees. Second, employed without healthcare benefits, shelvers experience personal instability and insecurity resulting from existing healthcare costs. These costs will only increase, and a too low COLA will amplify the effects of these increases. Third, shelvers do not receive holiday pay. Instead of relief and security offered by a little holiday pay, shelvers are pushed further into financial precarity. I urge you to put yourselves in the shoes of those that keep our libraries orderly and presentable, and to ask yourselves what level COLA is really appropriate. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioner. My name is Karen Kwan, and I'm speaking on behalf of Samantha Felice-Mitchell. I am speaking today as a dedicated library employee and union member to express my profound concern about proposed benefit reductions for part-time staff. These benefits, especially healthcare and fair compensation like CTO, aren't abstract policies. They impact my life, livelihood, and ability to do work I love. I live and work in Sonoma County where the cost of living relentlessly rises. My part-time wages don't cover basic expenses. Like many part-timers, I eagerly take extra help hours when available. But extra help hours have been cut significantly with unpredictable scheduling. This inconsistency is exhausting. And if these vital extra hours no longer count toward health coverage, my financial insecurity deepens. This schedule inconsistency also means that I'm often left out of important staff meetings and trainings which are essential to team cohesion, professional development, and growth. As someone committed to our patrons, it's disheartening to feel disconnected from conversations taking place. Uncertainty about full-time positions adds anxiety. I work with the system and have been honored to work here for 2 years, strengthening my skills. As my master's program ends, I hope to build my career at FPL. But this struggle makes the future here hard to see. Without stability, I face an impossible choice. Another part-time job leading to burnout, or seeking full-time work elsewhere for the extension benefit. This is despite loving my role, my team, and my community. I urge you, please consider what is truly at stake. Adding part-time benefits devalues our essential work. It risks driving away committed employees who want to grow. Thank you for your time.
Everyone. My name is Maria Pacheco, and I'm a part-time specialist at the Northwest Branch. Thank you for giving me a chance to speak today. I want to share how much working at the library has changed my life. I am a citizen, but I immigrated to this country, and I moved to Sonoma County alone to finish school. Through scholarships and this very job, I was able to earn my degree. Having access to extra help shifts was crucial. It gave me freedom to work and study, allowing me to support myself. I've been applying to full-time roles since graduating, but like many, I haven't had luck yet. Recently, the sudden cut to extra help hours caught me by surprise, as it did as many of my coworkers. I understand that there might not be any legal requirement to notify us, but it was disheartening to hear that no jobs were cut when the reality for many of us was a significant loss of hours we truly depended on. Let me share what this means for me. If I only work 20 hours a week, my healthcare insurance premium alone is $300. This leaves me with roughly $1,600 a month to cover everything. It's barely enough to get by. And I'm one of the lucky ones. I am able-bodied, I don't have children, and I've created other sources of income for myself. But what about the coworkers who are parents or older adults who depend on this income way much more? These extra help shifts weren't just hours on timesheet. They represent stability. They offered flexibility, and for many, it helped hope for a full-time job when there's an opening. I love this job. I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity to work here and serve our community. I'm simply asking today that the voices of part-time staff like mine be genuinely heard and truly considered as many of these, as we make these important decisions. Because these cuts, while they might be small on paper, can be life-altering for us. Thank you, everyone. Good evening, Commissioner. My name is Jen Ryder, and I'm going to speak for myself now. The Sonoma County Libraries opened Sunday hours in November of 2022. Our libraries are now open 7 days a week, which is great. At the time, as a new branch manager, I made new work schedules and I made my schedule Sunday through Thursday to accommodate the Rohnert Park branch needs. In December of 2022, Christmas and New Year's Day fell on Sundays. At the same time as new Sunday hours began, the new MOU, which started in 2022, stipulated that if a holiday fell on a weekend, the library was closed on the actual holiday and also the closest weekday as an observed holiday. In the case of Christmas and New Year's that year, the library was closed Sunday and Monday. What I didn't realize until that holiday came around was that although the library was closed 2 of the days I was normally scheduled to work, I would only be paid for 1 of those days. I realized that the new contract required me to make up the lost time by using vacation or working an extra day. I thought of my colleagues, like specialists and associates, who can only make up a day during the week of that holiday and not a pay period like librarians. They might work another job. They might have family obligations, which prevent them from making up that day. And then that forces them to use accruals they may not have because of the holiday closure. For a library system that professes to stand for equity, this decision took earned time away from the majority of your least well-paid staff, not to mention the public who depends on the library during those closed days. Conspicuously, it does not harm your best paid staff who typically work Monday through Friday. Staff who work the weekends do not get more time off because we bear the cost of making up the time. Please consider making this better for the staff who allow the library to be open 7 days a week. Thank you.
That's all?
Hey, it's me again. So I'm speaking on my behalf. My name is Karen On. I'm a part-time library associate in history and genealogy. So I've heard a lot of talk tonight about buildings and retrofitting and assets and electronic assets, and all those things are great. But something key that you all seem to be forgetting is that we are your asset. The work we put in are your asset. When you neglect us, you lose those assets. These assets are what past measures Y and W. My colleagues have said it before, they've said it better, but I want to emphasize, it is our hard work. It is our dedication. It is our working through exhaustion that has made us so beloved by the community. When you lose us, this institution loses its soul.
Anybody else? Okay, then we are going to move into closed session. And we appreciate you staying so long. We appreciate you very much. Thank you. We recorded? Everybody ready to record again? Okay, we are going to reconvene the open session. There was no action taken during our closed session. Moving on to section 13, commission liaison reports. Does anybody have, don't see any public also. Does anybody have any questions about any of the chair or commission reports? Okay, committee and liaison reports. Does anybody have, Commissioner McKenzie, are you good with your finance committee report? As reported in the minutes. Super. Yeah. Historic records, good? Foundation report? Excellent. Measure by Oversight Committee, Commissioner McKenzie, all good?
As in the record.
All right. Let's see, and the JPA committee just, there's no report, but the JPA committee, I will assure the commission has been working very hard. We've been meeting a lot. So we should have a report either at the next commission meeting or the following commission meeting. August, all right, well then, and then we're gonna have a robust conversation at the commission level about the JPA. All right, then old and new bit, wait. There was another report. Where's your report? Oh, that's right. All right. So it is also, the legal services committee report is also in the reports. Do you have anything to say about that? Any questions? Pause. No questions. All right. Is there any old or new business? Any old business? Yes.
Just want to remind people to go on Beanstack and start counting your hours.
There we go.
Your minutes and hours of reading so we can win again this summer against the foundation. And matters.
I forgot to bring our, we have a thing. We won, so we have an award. And the foundation wants it back. So we're gonna, that's right. Any other old business? Any new business? Then, agenda items for future commission meeting. We have a couple of things that, we have talked about in the past, and I think there are gonna be a couple of those, on next month, but, anything to add? All right, then with that, our next meeting is July 2nd, and with that, we are adjourned. Does anybody want to make a motion, or can we just assume that we're all adjourned? There we are. Unanimity. Thank you.